Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the AEW Dynamite review for the 12th of May 2021. Good show. Build to the pay per view was pretty decent. A lot of things I question, and I did not like the main event. We'll get there as we get there. John Moxley and Yuji Nagata are shown warming up. Moxley brings out a song from 1966, the Trog's Wild Thing. I don't quite understand the paying for a song that most of the target audience would see as an oldie, but anyhow. Um, they exchange forearms and center of the ring early. Nagata is able to land a knee lift and a boot. Moxley goes to the floor. Rocky Romero from New Japan is shown in the crowd. Diving knee by Moxley, and Nagata goes into the barricade. Moxley hits a Pele style kick and an elbow drop for near fall. Lance Archer is also shown in the crowd with Jake Roberts, making this feel like a big match feel. Moxley hit uh, some kicks and another 2 count, goes to the top rope. Nagata catches him. Moxley hits a dive and lays in the kicks into the midsection. He catches Moxley with an exploder suplex for near fall, and then Nagata uses his misdirection drop kick along the way, takes Moxley off his feet, lands kicks of his own. Moxley fires up and exchanges some suplexes, specifically a German and a running lariat for near fall. Nagata powers out, hits a pile driver, attempted. Moxley then is on the top rope, hits an avalanche exploder mid kick for a near 2 count rather. Moxley turns around and applies a rear naked choke. Uh, but then we go to an armbar. Um, Moxley's able to reach the ropes. More strike trading. Nagata hits an enziguri. Moxley comes back with a sliding lariat and goes for a bulldog choke. Moxley has a cut under his eye. A bunch of knee strikes and a Paragon shift close the match, and Moxley wins. Still your IWGP US champion. This is the type of match that should open a show like this. This is also the type of match that should be treated with the respect and reverence of treating wrestling like an actual fight. It is both endearing to me and sad to me that a man in his 50s in Nagata is able to outmatch, outwork, and outwit half the locker room. Did I agree with every spot in the match? No, but this is the intensity that needs to be brought to a sport-based feel style program. Post-match, Moxley and Nagata bow at each other and they show respect, which I thought was a cool touch. Ortiz, Hager, and Guevara are interviewed about blood and guts. Ortiz admitted the Pinnacle won. MJF showed his true colors. He said Santana was arrested and detained for his use of a fork. This does not make sense. In reality, he was sick and they were taking COVID related precautions, from what I have understood. Hager wants another match. Guevara said tonight's Pinnacle coronation would be their funeral. Um, Going from this to another promo doesn't make sense to me, and the promo doesn't make sense to me either. Cody Rhodes, Double or Nothing announcement. He does a USA versus the world kind of feel, which would have been fine in 1986, 1996, but not here in 2021. Cody discusses some of the basically the patriotism of being a proud American. However, I hate nationalistic storylines completely because at the end of the day, you have a worldwide product now, especially with the internet. And having nationalism on a entertainment program is just goofy in 2021. Might have worked even 20 years ago, but it doesn't fit now. Anyway, he brings up a go-go making his money in America, but supporting England. He's afforded the same rights as others. Uh, he said, "You didn't come here to live the England dream." He brings up Bruno Sammartino as an Italian American immigrant. Um, he also brings up the, I guess, main investor in AEW, Shad Khan, as an immigrant. He talks about how 60 years ago America was segregated, but soon he and his wife will have a biracial um, identity. I mean, is this emotional? Yes. Should they be touching racism at this point in 2021? Doubtful. I mean, the sentiment is nice, but the average person is so inundated with it on the news, I don't think it has a place here. Cody announced that Anthony Ogogo will be wrestling at Double or Nothing, but it won't be the American Nightmare who will face him. It'll be the American Dream, Cody wrote. This, I think, could have been hyped more. The return of the American Dream persona. I'm living my dream. I'm about to have children. I'm, a executive for the second largest wrestling company in the world. Like, there's a million ways to go with this that you don't need to do the racial tension and nationalistic pride trope that it just doesn't fit anymore. Anyway, video plays with SCU talking about how they don't like the Young Bucks' attitude recently. They need to beat the Young Bucks up to set them right. They brought up the breakup when we lose ultimatum, saying they put them at the top of their game and they're willing to go get what they want. Don Callis joins commentary team for the match. Bucks are accompanied by the Good Brothers. And basically we move to the Young Bucks, the Jacksons versus SCU, Christopher Daniels and Frankie Kazarian. They break up the team. So little is done with the breakup. That's the part that bothers me. Everyone knew this was coming. I don't think anyone expected SCU to win, but at the same time, why you don't make a huge deal out of this and put this on the pay-per-view just doesn't make sense to me. Anyway, matches heated from the start. Kazarian and Nick slap each other. Kazarian's on the attack. Daniels and Kazarian work together to get rid of the Bucks for a little bit. Some double teams. A leg drop from Kazarian gets a near fall. NSCU's firmly in control. Matt power bombs Daniels on the apron, which is a spot I completely hate. How long before someone really injures their back on a spot like this? Nick lands a flipping senton. We go to the break. We come back from the break. Daniels and Kazarian hit a powerbomb neckbreaker combo for a near fall. SCU hit a move called Celebrity Rehab. Then there's a distraction from Nick, allowing Matt to make a comeback for a minute. There's a bulldog on Kazarian. There's an X Factor there, and the Bucks take advantage for a little bit. Nick super kick. Daniels into the ring post. Daniels has been busted open pretty badly. He is gushing blood. More blood than I think was necessary, but maybe he did a little hard way here. Anyway, Nick taunts him. Kazarian slingshots Nick back into the ring with a cutter for a near fall. Bucks realize Daniels is hurt. They hit a buckle bomb on him, another move I hate. Anyway, Kazarian fights out with more bang for your buck and applies double pin on both. Bucks hit the Northern Lights suplexes, get another near fall. Kazarian rolls up Matt for a visual pinfall. Gallows comes in and has the official distracted. Kazarian hits a Styles Clash on Matt. Nick dives into the ring, breaks up the pin, tries to maintain control. Matt takes him out with a super kick and a knee strike. Daniels breaks up that pinfall. Daniels hit the Angel's wings and tags himself in. Matt cut into things with a spear. Daniels avoids a super kick. Matt powers out of the Angel's wings. Matt makes fun of the whole "I'm sorry, I love you" HBK Flair moment from Flair's WrestleMania retirement match years ago. Daniels gets hit with a super kick. Daniels kicks out. Daniels then hits a Uranagi. And then there's an attempt at the best moonsault ever, but he stumbles because of the blood loss. hits it on the second attempt. Nick breaks up the pinfall. Good Brothers are handled by Daniels, but the officials distracted. Matt sprays cold spray and smacks Daniels with the can for a near fall. Nick tags in and hits the BTE trigger. Kazarian tries to break up the pin, but it's too late. Camera almost immediately cuts backstage. This is your first set of tag team champions. This is one of the best tag teams in the last 20 years, and you give them 15 seconds, 10 seconds. I'm so sorry, but anyway, we cut to the back where Moxley and Eddie Kingston are destroying the Elite's dressing room. Christian Cage is interviewed about Taz. He says Taz is a bad man at one point in time, but now Taz won't step in the ring. Christian has an open challenge for any Team Taz member. He announces that he's in the Casino Battle Royal, is interrupted by Matt Sydal, who wants to win. Sydal says that instead of Team Taz, it's him who signed the open contract. This comes out of nowhere and feels like a throwaway match, and I don't think they need throwaway matches at this point, going back on the road in a couple of months. Anyway, AEW World Champ Eliminator. I hate the name of the Eliminator concept. Orange Cassidy with Best Friends versus Pac with Lucha Brothers. Go to a no contest. Winner of the match would be the number one contender. Cassidy puts the shades on Pac, who smashes them in the interim here. Cassidy's about to do his hands in the pocket deal, but Pac wasn't having it. Cassidy immediately turns that into a beach break for a near fall. Lands the hands in the pocket dive to the outside and pulls out a backup pair of sunglasses. This was kind of interesting. During commercial, Pac takes over, goes to the floor, sends Cassidy into the barricade. Pac climbs the top rope, hits a couple of shotgun drop kicks. And then Pac goes to the top. Cassidy does a slow roll away. Pac stomps him down. Cassidy rolls out of the way and gets nailed with a black arrow and gives Pac the thumbs up. He then counters the attack and sends Pac into the buckle, applies a victory roll for near fall, and then a thrust kick. And Cassidy goes into his trunks with Pac and hits a Liger bomb for a near fall again. Pac pushes Cassidy to the floor. We go to the second commercial break. During the break, Cassidy then is checked out by the ringside official. Don Callis comes out and makes fun of Pac and allows Kenny Omega to hit him with the belt. Neither man could make it up before the 10 count, so we now go to a 3-way at the pay-per-view. I don't know, there's a lot of talk online that Cassidy was injured during this. If so, that makes me really sad. Nothing against Pac, but I think he's been flat in AEW for the most part. So him versus Kenny Omega in another match, although they have had good matches in the past, doesn't intrigue me as a pay-per-view main event. Callis points out that there's no winner, so Omega has the night off. Omega then says the two men in the ring are losers. Schiavone interrupts. Omega puts Cassidy's sunglasses on from last week. Schiavone is told that it will be a 3-way for the championship at Double or Nothing. And then we go, Young Bucks and Good Brothers are angry about their dressing room, which had been completely destroyed by Moxley and Kingston earlier in the show. The Bucks wanted to show that they're fighting champions and defend against the number one ranked Varsity Blondes next week. Matt then invites Moxley and Kingston to a super kick party at Double or Nothing. I guess that challenges them to a match. Hangman Page, along with the Dark Order, is interviewed about his loss to Brian Cage. Dark Order console him for this, and he says it wasn't Cage that took him out, but Taz Page wants to rekindle their feud at Double or Nothing. The announcers recap the blood and guts thing with the Pinnacle in the ring. Pinnacle is joined by a woman in celebration. MJF said he took Chris Jericho's spot. He's the new demo god and the greatest of all time. He demanded that the audience show respect to the Pinnacle. He talked about being ranked number one on cable last week, breaking the record in Canada as well, thanks to Shawn Spears. MJF talks about the Inner Circle was down to two men, one because he stabbed MJF and another because he fell off a cage. He asked the crowd if they'd like to see a rematch. Crowd is happy with this. MJF turns the rematch idea down. Tully said the Pinnacle had took everything that the Inner Circle had to offer and is making fun of the Inner Circle's reasons for losing. He revealed he bought expensive watches for everyone in the group, and every time they look at the wrist, they can say that was a present from Tully Blanchard, and that is what being part of the Pinnacle is all about. They are interrupted by a loud horn. Ortiz, Hager, and Guevara are in a vehicle. I don't know why they're driving into the middle of an arena, but it's because it's goofy. But anyway, they're pulling something behind it. MJF told them to drive off because the Inner Circle's dead. Jericho pops out of the back after falling off a cage last week. What is the concept of selling? Honestly, seriously, you could have drawn this out, done promos for a couple of weeks with Jericho promising to be back for the pay-per-view somehow, some way. He doesn't care if he has to tape it up. He doesn't care if he has to glue his arm to his side. He doesn't care what he has to do. But they don't. They bring him back a week later. And this is where, I'm sorry, but Tony Khan is a big mark for the ECW brands and the IWA Mid-South brands where selling doesn't matter. And it's frustrating because they have a national product where the Jericho bump, for better or worse, at least it got MJF over in terms of he's a do anything heel. But if the guy's back 7 days later, it means absolutely nothing. Anyway, so Guevara sprays them with a high-powered hose containing the bubbly, which MJF lost it and screamed at the crowd to shut up. He takes the Inner Circle for another match from a loss they had last year, and that's the Stadium Stampede. If the Inner Circle loses, they have to break up forever, so obviously this means that, in fact, the Inner Circle will win the Stadium Stampede, making that pretty obvious. Britt Baker sits down with Jim Ross earlier today and talks about challenging Shida for the Women's Championship at Double or Nothing. She recalls Shida breaking her nose and busting her open, but now Baker is the baddest chick on the block, and she said it's poetic that the monster she created is going to destroy her. JR asked if Baker went too far to break up a photo shoot and if she cared. Baker was tired of being painted as a villain. She said Shida kept the division alive over the last year, but that Baker is the face of the division and the role model, the heart and soul, and the pulse. And when you have a pulse, you don't need a machine to keep everything alive. Double or Nothing, the division will keep itself alive when Baker becomes champion. And I really hope she does. I think the Shida thing is fine if you're into the whole, Japanese women who are very good in the ring but have very little character development. If that's what you enjoy, then I think Shida's been very good. But Britt Baker, I think, is the best woman on the AEW roster, and I would say one of the top 10 in the world in terms of character as far as women are concerned. Anyway, Thunder Rosa defeats Jasmine Allure. Rosa lands some chops and beats her down in the corner. Allure lands an uppercut. Rosa hits a shotgun drop kick. Too many of those in this show for my taste. Rosa hits running sentons, shoulder breakers, and a fire throw driver for the squash victory. And obviously, there's potential of her challenging for the NWA Women's Championship, Serena Deeb, down the road. Also, I would imagine she faces Baker when Baker wins the championship, which, with their history, would be fun. Anyway, next week's Dynamite lineup, Serena Deeb versus Red Velvet. Why? AEW Tag Team Champions, Young Bucks versus Varsity Blondes. Why would they do that right before the pay-per-view? Christian Cage against Matt Sydal, who cares? And Anthony Ogogo and Austin Gunn, who cares? One thing that I think AEW does really poorly is they build a lame duck Dynamite right before a pay-per-view. I don't understand that concept. If it were me, I would I would purposely book something hot to go into the pay per view, but they don't seem to do that. Anyway, Double or Nothing matches announced Hangman Page, Brian Cage with Taz, Cody Rhodes with Arn Anderson, Anthony Ogogo with The Factory. The Factory is just the dumbest thing ever. AEW's Women's Championship, Sheeta versus Britt Baker, and Triple Threat, Omega, Pac, and Orange Cassidy. Jade Cargill is interviewed by Tony Schiavone. She recaps the lawyer offering his managerial services. Cargill tells Schiavone, says that no one needs to handle her business. She's listening to offers, but she's that tough. Video package recapping Allen being thrown downstairs last week by, I think, members of Team Taz or whomever. Anyway, it's escaping my mind as I do this, but anyhow, we see him return to Seattle. He said he didn't have time to worry about it. He dropped everything to return to his hometown to remind him of how far he's come. Allen turns his attention to Miro, asking what he's done since coming to AEW. Allen knows exactly who he is, but Miro's generic and won't take Allen's championship no matter what happens. Miro has to admit Allen's one of the toughest men he stepped in the ring with. A lot of people liked this main event. I hated it. I don't think Miro is where you drop the TNT Championship at this point. Miro has been a lame duck for the entire year or almost year that he's been with the company. I think you needed to build him more. I think someone from the company, not an outside former WWE guy, should have been the one to beat Darby Allin. And then if you want that person to get beat by Miro, that's okay. But I think you need to build up more of your homegrown talent. Anyway, Miro attacks Allin before the bell, throws him everywhere, including onto the arena floor. Official wouldn't start the match. Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page are shown looking on. Official starts the match, and Miro lands the Machka kick right away for near fall. Allin fires back, hits a shotgun drop kick, probably fifth one on the show in less than 2 hours. He goes for a flying stunner. Allin gets sent into the post. Allin lands a missile tope, and then Allin follows up with a coffin drop. Miro catches him with a German suplex on the floor, and Sky and Page attack Sting at ringside. Miro continues to dismember Allen's midsection with a gut wrench, and Allin fights back with a sleeper hold, realigning the grip, and Miro starts to fade, eventually reaches the ropes. How can a guy half his size get him in a submission that works? I don't really understand that. It doesn't make a lot of sense psychologically. Anyway, Miro rolls to the floor. Allin reapplies the sleeper, tries to use the championship to fight out, but official takes it away. Miro sends him into a wall for a break. Miro then sends Allin back into the ring, goes after the right arm, and dumps him on the ropes in the meantime. Then Allin is basically almost unable to continue here. Allin slaps him and hits a stunner, cradles him for near fall. Second stunner, Miro catches him on the coffin drop. Allin flipped out of a German suplex and rolls Miro up in a fantastic near fall there. He then hits Code Red for another close near fall. Miro pops up and locks in the game over for the ref stoppage win of the title. Page and Sky attack Sting as we close, and Miro makes fun of Allin. Archer comes out and points at Miro and the TNT title as the show goes off the air. I still think you could have done Miro and Archer non-title, and then I don't know. Like, it's, to me, even Archer at this point beating Allin would have been better. But anyway, that will close us for this show. Got over close to 1,300 audios in a variety of topics. Going to do the Impact review next, and then more of the WCW Saturday Night series. We'll be back with more right after this.